I'm Rob Manfredi from Bamboo Solutions, and today we're excited to announce the release of a new version of OrgChart Plus. This version is now supporting lists as a data source, which has all sorts of great benefits. So let's go through a quick PowerPoint about Bamboo. We'll do a little overview of the product. We'll take a tour of the website to show you how to start a trial, and then we'll jump into the product and show you all of the new features and how it works. All right, so let's get going. Okay, so Bamboo is a leading provider of both software for Microsoft 365 as well as consulting services. We have customers that are both large and small. We've got about 8,000 customers that have downloaded our software over the years, and we are a Microsoft Gold partner. So we are excited to be here. We're been around for more than 10 years. We're a smaller company. We're about 40 folks. We've got some great customer satisfaction numbers, and again, just a very large install base. The Bamboo brand is globally recognized as providing high-value, low-cost solutions that make SharePoint better for users. In SharePoint Online, these are all SPFX solutions that run in your tenant. There is no connection to Bamboo. It's not a software as a service. There's nothing coming back to us. They are fully contained pieces of software that exist in your tenant. They are available both through Microsoft AppSource as well as our website. It is the same product, although Microsoft is usually a version behind. They take a little while to get that AppSource updated, and OrgChart Plus is getting ready for submission. Its first submission to AppSource, so it is not there yet. The way we manage upgrades to the product and support is you will have a Bamboo account. We have a monthly newsletter that tells you what new releases have come out. If you see a new release for your product, you can go to your account, download the file and the release notes, and drop it into your app catalog, and off you go. It's important to note that these are not add-ins. Add-in support is going away by Microsoft. These are SPFX solutions, which is the best practices way for third parties to develop solutions for SharePoint. So you can see the SPFX functionality. You drop our applications into your app catalog, either at the tenant level or the site collection app catalog. You add it to a page, you configure it, and then your users access it through the browser just like they would anything else. For licensing and support, we price all of our products as a single price per SharePoint tenant. So no subscriptions, no per user per month. It is not a subscription. It is a perpetual license maintenance model. Once you have the product, you can create as many org charts across all of your site collections as you want. So you could have an org chart for your product dev, an org chart for your marketing group, an org chart for the whole company, et cetera, and just sort of scatter this stuff around. The first year purchase price does include maintenance. On the anniversary of your purchase, you'll get an optional support quote from us, which is 22% of that price. And you can choose to stay on support or not. The product will continue to work as long as Microsoft doesn't break something, but you'll no longer get support or updates and new versions. For larger customers, over 2,000, we do have an added support fee. The product is the same price, and that is a per account fee, which we'll talk about in a second. And then we also love bundling products together. We get a lot of multi-purchase, and we do some nice discounting there. If you are a small business or not-for-profit, so that is a business that with less than 100 employees or a not-for-profit with fewer than 300 employees, we have special maintenance-only pricing that is listed on our page. So you get the product simply by just joining up on maintenance. If you are over 2,000 employees on SharePoint, there will be an additional fee of $2,500 per year. That is a per account support fee. The products are still the same price, and the support for the products are still the same price. So that's up to 10,000 users. If you're between 10,000 and 100,000, it's $13K. And we have several customers with over 100,000 employees. If you're right on the cusp of the tier 2 and tier 3, reach out to us. We're fair and we can make some exceptions. So for example, if you're only 1,000 folks and the product is $4,000, you would pay year one, $4,000 for perpetual license, put the product everywhere on your tenant, and that would include first year maintenance. Second year renewal, which is optional, would be only $878, which is 22% of that. If you're over that 2,000 and you've got two products you want to buy, right? There's your $2,500 for the tier two. Here's your two product purchase. And then your year one cost would be $8,340. Come up in year two for your renewal, you would pay that $2,495 again, and then just the maintenance on those two products that we see down here. If you're a small not-for-profit, again, you would not pay that $4,000. You would just pay the $878.90 for the product in year one and also in year two. Same thing with a corporation with under 100 employees. So pretty straightforward. We tried to make it simple, trying not to burden anybody with additional subscriptions. We are very focused on the B2B market. We understand that this stuff becomes critical to the organization, and we want you to enjoy the product as long as you can. We do also offer a bunch of SharePoint services. So if you need a partner to help you with Dataverse solutions, Power App development, any migrations, or even customer end user support, we do all of that as well, and have a very good growing consultancy group. Okay, let's talk about Org Chart Plus, and then we'll get to the demo. All right, so Org Chart Plus is a filterable org chart web part that pulls its data from two sources. One is your Active Directory, or Entra, as it's called, which we will then read through the Graph API that information and display the org chart. Or it can now pull from a list where you can build out your org chart for a specific organization or your whole organization and display it in the same way. Once you've got your org chart, there are action buttons. So each user has an action button to start things like chat, make a call, send an email. We've got 3 different rendering engines, each with a bunch of different configurations so that you can configure your org chart to look the way you need it to look on a specific page. And we've also got ways of changing your starting node. So if you've got a bunch of data, you want to point to it, but you want to start at a certain person to just show product development down, you can do that, or HR down, or from the president down, or however you want to do it. So you can change on the same source of data where your starting node is for your org chart. So in accessing Active Directory or Entra, we will ask for permission to talk to the Graph API, the product will. Once you grant it permission, we'll then pull in that data from Active Directory and build your org charts from there. We've done some things because for larger organizations, in order for this to scale without throttling SharePoint, we've got pre-cached filter options. So what that means is we won't grab all of your data every time to populate a specific org chart. You can actually filter it down by department, by an email, or even job titles, right? So it is limited with what Graph API allows us to filter on and to filter things, but we do put that there so that you can sort of tone down how much data you are grabbing. Now, once you've got your data and you want to maybe filter the view of it, you can filter by department, email, employee ID, job title, office location. And then these different filter options are includes, does not include, starts with, ends with, is not empty. So this gives you a bunch of flexibility to build from Active Directory the org chart data set that you want to work with. We do cache with this if you want, and we can update that cache at certain intervals so that we're not constantly grabbing data every time somebody accesses the page. So that's something else as well. If we see a large amount of data, we will stop the user and say, hey, you may want to use some of those pre-query filters rather than grabbing 40,000 records out of Entra by accident, okay? On the list side, it's essentially the same thing, except we give you a sample list that shows you the columns that you would need to create. And then Org Chart Plus just uses this as its data source, and we'll get into more detail when we see the demo. But what's nice about list data is you can just sort of create a list of your org chart or for a specific department for this specific org chart. You can make it in Excel, and you can use just the Excel import, or you can use our list bulk import product, which is a great way to get Excel data into a list in SharePoint Online. Or you can use Power Automate. So if your org structures in Bamboo HR or ADP, there's all sorts of connectors to those data sources so that you can pull in the data you want from those sources and push it into a list. What we find with larger organizations is Active Directory doesn't reflect the actual org structure of the organization. It's used for a lot of other things, but not that. So they typically may have that org structure in another system, or they just want to build it in a list and manage it that way. So lots of more flexibility and connectivity when using lists. So this is the new feature that we've added to it. We do have a free version of OrgChart Plus, which you may see on our website, but we also have a premium version, which is the paid version. And the difference is on the free version, we do support both Active Directory and list. There is only one rendering engine, and none of the filtering works on the free version. So it's great for small organizations that just have, here's a list of data. Let's put it all in there, and you get sort of just a top-down tree list with that rendering engine. And then there is integrated search in that free version as well on that one. On the premium version, you again get the Active Directory and list data support. You get 3 different rendering engines with a lot of different styles. We get that pre-filtering, which is really only for Active Directory, not list support. And then post-filtering of data on both the list and Entra right there. The integrated voice calling, email, Teams chat, and meetings is only in the premium version. You can still see the phone number, but you can't click on it to make a phone call. And then we've got the integrated search and the advanced rendering engine as well. So the only download in the demo is the premium version. You can start using it after 30 days. If you don't purchase it, it reverts back to the free version moving forward. So you can use that forever if you'd like. All right, let's take a website tour and demo. If there's any questions, you can ask it in the chat. Here we go. Here. Can we use the employee ID filter to show only accounts where, yes, that's typically why we've got that employee ID in there, so that if something doesn't have an employee ID, right, we'll keep it away from the org chart, things like conference rooms, assets, or the like. On the email one too, it's kind of nice because we get a lot of universities that use this, and the university faculty has a certain email address that ends a certain way, and all the students have a different email address that ends a certain different way. So they filter out the students by using either the employee ID or something within the thing. I believe it does support wildcards. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that, but you can also have multiple parameters within each of the filtering options as well. So we'll see that. All right, so let's go and take a look at our website. Okay, so here's our homepage. We got our banner up here for OrgChart Plus, nice and convenient. When you look under the products section, on the left, all the blue products, which there are 27 of them now, are SharePoint Online. The green products on the right, of which there are 50 of those, are for SharePoint 2016, 19, and 2022. They are classic WSPs that work only on classic pages, right? So if you're in a modern experience on 2022, neither product works on-prem yet in a modern page. But if you're in SharePoint Online, which most people are, all the blue products are where you want to be. So if we click the View More, you'll get a list with a nice little description of which each product is before you have to click into the product page. And you can kind of view all these different products that we have. Now down here, we've got the free OrgChart Plus and then OrgChart Plus Premium. So if you wanted to do a demo, a trial of either, you could just simply come into the product page, either one. Again, it is the same product. You get all the premium features for 30 days, but then it'll revert back to the free version once your trial ends. You would simply click on the try buy button here, grab the trial, add it to your cart, check out. Once you've created the account, no credit card needed, you can then download the zip file, unzip it, grab the SPFX web part, drop it in your app catalog, and off you go. Full support is available. So if you struggle with how do I add this to my app catalog, just come up here and open up a ticket. And once you've added it to your account, we'll know that you're in a trial, and support is open to you for the full 30 days to help you do an install, walk through the product, or answer any questions about the Graph API interaction or things like that. So we're here to help you during that whole process. So you can learn a little more about it. We've got a nice little demo here, and then we've got our pricing. So the product is $3,995, which includes first year support. And then this is a link if you're over 2,000 folks. That's the enterprise support program we spoke about. And then here it's showing you that year 2 software maintenance is 22%. Again, the free version is free, but it has limited capabilities. If you are a small business, instead of the $4,000, you would spend around $900, and then your year 2 software maintenance would be the same of that $878.90 per year. All right, so we just want to make sure our pricing is completely transparent and the like. All right, so let's take a look at the product. So in this sample, I've got a list that has a subset of our employees in it, because we just don't want to type them all in. And I've created a bunch of different columns that you would set up. Now, the columns are specific, right? So we actually give you a sample CSV of what the columns should be. Once you've created your list, which you can take that CSV and just create a list right off of it, and then start changing your data. The title is the email. We queue off of email in terms of uniqueness for your users. We've got a city, a department, an employee, a hire date, an employee ID, whether they're full-time or part-time, their first name, an employee ID, the title, phone, office location, last name, a user type, and who their manager is, right? So you would just simply put the email of the person that is their manager. So once you get all of your data in here, you would get an org chart. So this is a full org chart of the organization with one of the basic rendering engines. Kind of nice, but you can see it's a little bit big, so this is probably not the one I would use on this page. We do support a full screen. So if you did want to see it in full screen, you could do that. And you see it's got a nice little tracer on it. And with the premium version, if I wanted to give VJ a call, I could open it up, and then I get all of the neat features of starting a Teams chat, Teams call, a video call, schedule a meeting, or send him an email. Pretty cool. But let's go in and let's try to make this a little bit better for our page. So once we add it to a page, you'll essentially get this little thing over here that allows you to bring up the editing piece. So once you're in your editor, you can select who is the top user in your org chart. We'll get to this in a second, but then you simply tell us where your list is for the data. Now, if you decide to use Graph Active Directory, you obviously don't put that list in there. It'll then talk to the Graph API, bring that data in, and render it from Active Directory, right? And the like. So here's your sample CSV that will help you build your list, right? And then this top user down is really more important for Active Directory. So in some of our org charts, you can, let's say you put somebody as your top level, you can go above them and see who's up there as well as below them. But that also means we got to fetch more data. So in your specific instance, you may only want to get the data from Active Directory from who I'm specifying as the top user down, and don't worry about anybody above them. So it's just a way for us to slim down the data by either specifying top user down or grab the whole directory, which includes our query filters here. All right, so once we got things set up, the query filters, which are the pre-fetching, are only important for Microsoft Graph requests. We don't do that with lists, but this allows you to pre-fetch data or leave data at the Graph API that you don't want to bring in every time somebody loads the page. So that's pre-filtering. Post-filtering is once you've got your data set, how do I want to change it? So now this becomes important with the list data as well, because you can see we've got includes, does not include, starts with, end with, or is not empty. So in that one case, you would say an employee ID that is not empty are all the folks I want to get. Okay, so that makes sense for the question that was asked earlier. Does it support wildcards? I gotta figure that out. I don't know the answer to that. So anyway, you can see some of this stuff is all in our list. So if I wanted, let's say, we come over here and in our department, where's our department? Here. Let's say I just wanted services, right? So if I said I just want the department includes services, right? And save it. My org chart is just going to be from me down and include just the services team right there. So that's showing you how the filtering allows you to just show a certain group. Now, similarly, if I decided to say I want to start not with me, but with Jen, and save it. And let's go ahead. We can see now we've got Jen, Mike, and Matt in support, and then Mike with some of our consultants there, right? But let's go ahead and let's turn this the other way. Instead of horizontal, let's go vertical, and we save it. And this is the single page tree, starting with Jen, down to Mike, Matt, and there. So you can see we started with Jen in our configuration. So let's go back to me, which is one up. We'll save it. And now we've got a vertical, right, with this same rendering engine, right? We're only looking at one of the rendering engines. So let's go ahead and say, you know what, that's kind of busy. We're going to go to the second part of that rendering engine, which is a simple 2 levels at a time. And what that does is it shows just 2 levels of the tree at a time, okay? But if I wanted to see who was under VJ, I would click this and it moves him to the top and shows you who's under him. So you can kind of go up and down, right? Oops, this one. And see, so this is a way of sort of compacting your org chart. So it's only showing sort of a little window of 2 levels at each time, and you're kind of moving through the tree as you need to with each of the levels. So that is the simple and the single page tree. The third one, which we have a ton of things that we can do, is the collapsible tree. So what the collapsible tree does is it's a little more dynamic in that, here, let's go ahead and republish this, is it allows me to collapse the trees. So I can come in here and hit these little buttons and zoom in and zoom out of different areas. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Now, of course, you can scroll this around, right? And the like. So pretty straightforward. I can go ahead and just make it full screen or zoomed in or full screen out like that. Now, I don't like the way this is sort of treeing out because it's making it very wide. So let's go ahead and edit that. And instead of that, we've got some options that allow us to do a waterfall, a tree with offsets on either side, or a grid. So if we went waterfall and re-rendered it, you can see now it's falling right underneath instead of pushing it out horizontally, right? So this becomes actually a nice looking org chart that is pretty big. It lets me move around nice and easily. I still got the zoom in, zoom outs, but it's more vertical in nature with that. So you can see you can play with the layouts to get just the org chart you want on a specific page. Now the search is nice because if you've got a big one and you're looking for somebody, say look for VJ, it comes up and you can see it highlights it real quick for you, and then you can pop into VJ and see all the information that from the card, and then go ahead and maybe send him an email, which would open up my emails or start a chat or what have you. It's just open up on a different screen over here. We'll get rid of that. And the like. So you can see there's really a lot of ways you can make your org chart look really well. And all of that is based on this data that shows, let's say for Courtney, she reports to me, there. And then there's all the people that point to Jen, right? And all the people that report to Mike. And you can see right down here. So it allows you to really quickly create a visual representation of your organization with lots of different chart styles, search, as well as going ahead and changing the way these things render to fit your screen. So really feature rich and the like. All right. So with that, let's go back and just summarize what we saw. Again, Org Chart Plus is free, right? And you get simply the basic tree structure, no filtering. But if you're using lists, you can, just limit the amount of data in each of the lists, and that'll work for you. If you're a small business, it's $878 if you want the full version with that collapsible tree that we saw, or the 2-layer tree. Those are the two renderings that are not with the basic. It's $4,000 perpetual license, including first-year maintenance. If you want to buy more than one product, we do bundle discounts. You just pick whatever you want, and we will help you become a Bamboo client. I think we've got one more question coming in. Nope. If we're using 80 Entra, the web part will prefetch and cache. Where is the cache stored? How often is it? So the caching is you set how often it's going to reset in there. So let me see if I can break this. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to say we are going to use graph. And then on your caching, hold on. So on the caching, there is I don't see it. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. There's when you're in the I don't know where it is. Anyway, there's usually a button right here that says how often do you want to refresh your cache? Nightly, once a week, or every time somebody comes to the page. So there is some nice stuff. So it can have, depending on how big your organization is, if you're under like 2,000 to 5,000, you don't have to worry about cache. You don't have to use cache. We can always grab it from Active Directory and bring it in. It's very performant. If you get over 4,000 or 5,000 people and they're up in the 20 or 30,000, we need to start using cache because it's just too much going through Graph API at any given time. So it's pulling it real time if you're not using cache, or it's pulling it refreshed however often you set the cache to be updated is the answer to that. All right. All right. Well, there we are. Thank you so much for your time. We're happy to help you with the trial, and hopefully everybody can start adding colorful, dynamic, interactive org charts to their SharePoint Online tenant. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you have any questions, just email me. Have a great day.